Well, it is February, Black History Month. My name is Libra Ford, and I am the chair of the North Clackamas School Board, and I am super excited to represent every single student in this district. It is so important for us to acknowledge Black history, not because Black people are any different or any better than anyone else, but it's because for so long, the contributions of Black people have been forgotten and dismissed in the historical reference of progress and growth in America. The acknowledgement of this month is simply a point to make sure that as you learn and grow in understanding Black history, you learn and grow in a pride of all people, not just one side of the story, but all sides of the story. Together, we are better. With more knowledge, we do better. And united, we grow. Happy Black History Month to you and yours. May you be as prideful as I am about all the excellent things that Black people have contributed to this wonderful country we call the United States.
Hi, my name is Jeremiah Pichon. I go to HVMS and I'm in 7th grade, and today I'm going to tell you about what it's like being Black.
My name is Cameron. I'm a sophomore at Clackamas High School.
Hi, it's Angel, and I'm in 10th grade, and I'm good to rap.
My name is Jimmy Maconde.
Hi everyone, I'm Savannah Hicks, and I'm the freshman class outreach advisor for BSU.
Hello, I'm going to be speaking about my experience being a Black student.
It's important to celebrate Black History Month so people that don't know about it can learn more about Black culture.
And to me, it's important to celebrate Black History Month because it's celebrating who we are as a community.
I think why we should celebrate Black History Month is because it's telling you about the history and all that stuff, and it's teaching kids about the cultural and where we come from and how we're not bad or none of that. And I think that's why we should celebrate Black History Month.
I think most of the time why we should support Black History Month is because people died just to try to help us. People did so much to help Black history become what it is now. And if you didn't celebrate it, it's kind of like oh, it doesn't matter. But it really does.
It shows how strong we are. And it's only been 57 years since segregation has been abolished in the U.S. We have changed so much in only a short amount of time.
We had a Black president. We are having a now first ever vice president as a woman. We are doing so much in this community. It's helping so much for other people.
I think it is important to celebrate Black History Month because all they teach us in history class is the two basics, MLK and Rosa Parks, and that's it. And they leave us thinking that those are the only two, well-known Black people that did something that had an effect on the justice movement. Wrong. There are millions of Black people who had an impact on how we are and where we are today. And Black History Month is a small span of time that we actually get to learn about those people and educate ourselves more.
Yes, my name is Dennis Carline, and this is my African American History mobile display. I put this together for kids because I bought this educational piece that I feel that's important. The museum got started when I was an integration specialist at Benson High School, and I'm a collector. I collect Sports Illustrated, Ebony magazines, Jets. And then the more I started studying it, the more I got interested in it, so I started pulling stuff offline. I started collecting pictures. I got a poster collection. I got 70 posters that I've collected throughout the years that we've shared at schools, making bulletin boards and having assemblies and things like that. And then when I got to Fort Vancouver High School, they actually had a gallery about this big. And now we have this, now that it grew into this, and it's even bigger now. Matter of fact, there's stuff that I still have that's not out here. You know, anytime you see someone say it's black history, it shuts some people down because, well, why we gotta learn about black history? You know? Just because they put black in front of it doesn't mean it's bad, okay? Just because they say black history, basically what they're saying is it's history of black people in America. Does everybody understand? So you got to change your paradigm. You got to change the way you think about that, right? Because it shouldn't shut you down because it's about a people who've been oppressed and things that they've done and accomplished have never been told. And everybody should be told. Am I right? So imagine that you're in a family of 4 people. I got 4 kids. And only ones I ever talk about is 3. But I got 4 kids. What about the 4th? So anybody in America should never be excluded, who they are, what they are. You know what I'm saying? They have a history of struggles just like everybody else. And those struggles and that history should be told because that makes us a better understanding of each other and more tolerant and more forgiving and more whatever we have to be better Americans. But I try to set up a timeline, my poster collection, pictures, showing positive things in athletics and leadership and inventors. We got female leaders, people that they didn't know about that could tell stories about. So that's how it got started.
Hello, I would like to introduce the wonderful Representative Janelle Bynum. She has been a part of the Oregon House of Representatives since 2017, and we are honored to have her to be a part of our Black History Month celebration.
Hello, Representative Bynum. My name is Yasmin Willigus, and I'm currently an 8th grader at HBMS.
Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. This opportunity means so much to me because learning about all of your successes show me and others like me that we can also have successes. Representation does matter.
It does.
Who were some of your role models growing up?
Well, I would say my grandmothers were some of my earliest role models because they were not fortunate to have the opportunities that I had, but they had a lot of spirit and a lot of soul and dignity and determination. And they always encouraged us to do well in school. They encouraged us to work hard. And whenever we were doing something extraordinary, my grandparents were there. My grandmothers would just always tell me that they believed in me. And I think that goes a really long way in terms of helping you with your self-esteem, especially when you don't know if you can do something. So they were 2 very strong women that I miss dearly.
That's great. That's awesome. You have a bachelor's degree.
I do.
Electrical. You do?
I do.
In electrical engineering and a master's degree in business administration.
Yes.
What led you to becoming our state representative?
I used to advocate, not used to, I first got started as a member of the North Clackamas Parent Alliance, and we would go down to Salem and advocate for full funding for schools. And so that was one way that I got into elected politics. And then the other way is my husband and I own 4 McDonald's, and I used to advocate as a lobbyist, but not like a paid lobbyist, but just someone on behalf of our group to talk to elected officials about small businesses and the types of issues that we were facing. So between education for my kids and for all the kids in North Clackamas, and then for small businesses, that's how I got started. And before I knew it, I was being encouraged to run. So it started from almost nothing.
That's pretty awesome. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
As a woman of color, what obstacles have you faced in your professional career, and what did you do to overcome some of them?
A lot of times people will try to guess at my perspective on something, and I'm a Democrat, and so they think that perhaps that I always have maybe a typical Oregon Democratic profile, and so people assume a lot about me before they even meet me. So that's really hard to overcome because I have to explain to people. For instance, I grew up in Washington, D.C., which essentially is the South. And so I have very strong religious beliefs. I have very strong beliefs about the family, and particularly the Black family, and the things that we need to do to reunite the Black family. And sometimes those beliefs go against what people typically might think are normal here. And then we own a business. And so even though we're very pro-worker and pro-family, sometimes we have to stand up and say, well, that's not a really business-friendly way to write a law, for instance. So most of the time, I spend my time trying to convince people that I'm a normal person, that I have human feelings, that I'm an individual, and I feel very fortunate. I've been very blessed, and that doesn't make me angry in the way that people often want to portray Black women. But I also have a right to be angry when I am angry. And so I would say those are the biggest obstacles. A secondary obstacle is people really assuming that my credentials aren't real. And a lot of people think that, you get to a place just because you're Black and somebody had to check a box. But I've been to a lot of school. I made sure that all of my degrees were from good places, and that I had, very strong grades in school. And that's something that people can never take away from you. And I hope kids hear that message, that they should invest in themselves and go to school.
Thank you for that. One of my favorite quotes right now is by the late John C. Lewis. The full quote reads, "Do not get lost in the sea of despair. Be hopeful, be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get into good trouble, necessary trouble." When was a time you made some noise and got into good trouble?
Ooh, it was probably yesterday. But I mean, over the past week, over the past probably 6 months, I've been getting into a lot of trouble. So I have multiple examples. So I decided that Oregon needed to have a leader in the House that was of color. So I shook up the status quo and I ran for speaker. And I wasn't successful, not because I couldn't win, but because the party wanted to have some harmony. So more to come on that. I also made some good trouble because our inmates in our prisons were not getting vaccines, and they don't have a choice in where they live. Yes, they committed a crime, but I think when we start to make ethical decisions about who gets what in our society, especially with our response to COVID, we have to take care of the vulnerable first. And as much as people don't think a lot about prisoners, I think that those people who don't have a choice in where they live need to be cared for, and they're wards of the state, And so I spoke up against that. I also spoke up against the way the Department of Corrections medical director was treated by a judge. And that's a pretty bold thing to say something about how a judge speaks to people in their courtroom. But I thought she was disrespectful, and I spoke up about it. So those are just 3 examples. I'll close with this, though. My husband has he has a tracker on my name in like Google alerts. And so every day he gets a listing of the mentions of my name in the newspaper. And I don't track myself like that, but he can kind of tell how things are going. And this morning he says, "Oh, you were in good trouble again yesterday. I saw your name about something with banning tear gas or something like that." So I stay in trouble.
Mhm. You are very awesome, and I love that you speak your mind and opinion and are not scared to do it.
Oh, sometimes I am.
Well, I think from what I've seen, you've done a good job not showing it.
I think whatever you decide to do in life, you should be true to your why. That's WHY. And my why is that I care deeply and unapologetically about children and Black children. My why is that I care deeply about families and Black families and their ability to pass on wealth to their children and their children's children. And so when I decide to take a stand on something, I ask myself, does it further the interests? Does it protect our children? Or does it protect families and their ability to thrive and succeed? If the answer is no, I won't go in very deep on it. But if the answer is yes, I'm going to fight to the bitter end.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
For my final question, what can young people like myself do to be more active and create change in our community? Where can we start? What can we do right now?
One of the easiest things you can do is find a bill that means something to you, find a topic. So one of the things that we're working on right now in particular is the Crown Act. And it stands for Creating a Respectful World for Natural Hair, something like that. and so the last time that we did this bill, we had students from Lincoln, I believe, come in and testify about what it was like to wear their natural hair at school or wear their hair as they were interviewing for college spots on a college roster. And so that's one way that I've encouraged young people to get engaged on issues that they care about. So anyone in Oregon, anyone actually in the world, can look online in our Oregon Legislative Information System called OLIS, type in a keyword, something that they care about. It could be basketball, I don't know. And there may be a bill that's coming up that's about basketball. And whenever that bill is coming up to be heard, to have public input, anybody can testify. And you just testify for like 2 minutes and you just say what you think about it. So we've had people come and testify about tear gas. We've had people come and testify about the Crown Act. We've had people testify about the environment. We have an effort about youth voting at not voting at age 16, age 17, registering to vote so that they can participate in the general elections. So we have lots of bills that everybody can participate in. But all you have to do is find the one that you want and come and testify.
That sounds very interesting.
Or you can write a letter. You can do that too. Or you can write what they call an op-ed in the student newspaper or even in the Oregonian. You can do that too on things that you care about.
That I'd probably lean more towards the part.
It's very powerful. It's very powerful.
Yes. Thank you. On behalf of my peers, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
One of the lessons that I grew up with was to always stay true to yourself and never let what somebody says distract you from your goals. And so when I hear about negative and false attacks, I really don't invest any energy in them because I know who I am. Michelle Obama. Hello, I am Shay James, Assistant Superintendent in North Clackamas School District. I want to share that quote from one of my personal heroes, Michelle Obama. It reminds us to dig deep and look within ourselves to be reminded of who and what we really are, what we stand for, and to not be defined by others. One way I do this is through core values. Taking the time to write your core values down is important and can support you when you're feeling stressed, alone, or not sure what you want to do, what you should do, or what the answer is. I always go back to my core values in those situations. I have core values for my job, with my family, and my friends. At my work, it is important for me to be student-centered when making decisions, use an equity lens, multiple perspectives, and anti-deficit framing and approaches with all aspects of my job, act with a high degree of care for people, hold high expectations for each student, and recently I've added practicing self-care. Michelle Obama also reminds us that history has shown us that courage can be contagious and hope can take on a life of its own. Stay strong, stay courageous, maintain your pride, and keep persisting in solidarity together.
My experience as a Black student in North Clackamas School District, I would say I didn't really realize how non-diverse the school district was until about 5th grade. I just started to notice how I was the only person of color in my classrooms, and it made me feel very weird, left out, and like the outcast. I did not feel like I belonged. Obviously, as I enhanced in my school and went up some grades, there started to be more and more, which was really nice. Still not that much, and they were never really in my classes. I just saw them in the hallways more, especially in middle school.
My experience as a Black student in the North Clackamas School District, it was shaky at first because I just felt weird being the only kid in my class with color, and I just felt like I was just fitting in. I wasn't being myself. I felt like I was just stuck, and I just didn't know where to turn or where to go without somebody just telling me that it's not right. But it got better as I started to explain a lot of different things to people and let them know that, hey, this isn't okay, and this and that.
The reason why I think Black History Month is important is because most white people, not trying to be racist, but most white people think Black people are very bad people.
It definitely affects me a lot more now that I've learned about the racial injustices and how oppressed Black people are, and also because of how openly racist, rude, and disrespectful some people choose to be.
Sometimes at my old school, when I was in elementary, I got criticized of my skin color. People called me the N-word when they were not Black.
I had a white person say the N-word to me, but I mean, like, he was just not trying to hurt me, but he did. But we became friends. But as an experience of HUMS, it's like their kids saying the N-word all day, but I don't hear it.
Sometimes there are some cruel people in the world, but
the reason why those protests happen is because a white police officer killed George Floyd. And George Floyd told the police officer several times that he couldn't breathe. And Breonna Taylor's dead because she got shot and killed by a white person.
It's stressful. And I think it's stressful for everyone. It's a lot to handle, okay? It's very hard to accept the fact that this is happening.
I don't know, it's just a terrible thing happened. A lot of things, terrible things happened last year in 2020.
But you know what? We're pushing through it, and we're educating ourselves and teaching other people to be educated.
You have to stand up and realize that those people, they don't matter to you, and you don't matter to them. So you can move on and be a better person that you can achieve to be.
What's okay, what's not okay. Here are some stereotypes. I'm not an angry black woman. I'm tired. I'm not less than myself. I'm being myself.
Stereotype where we are not educated and we are not smart is just untrue. It's untrue. People like Maya Angelou were setting important blazes among the young community, and
Less than, I am well educated and I'm a happy black woman.
If you put your mind on something, say you want to be an astronaut, you say you want to be a boxer, you can do that. If you think you want to be a scholar, work hard, grind, do an all-nighter if you need to.
Not less than. I'm just as good, or even better in certain cases. Do not put me or think of me as below than others.
we are smart and we can do anything that we want to. It just shows how strong we are. Being smart and being black in the community is really hard to do. It is. And it may not seem like it, but it is.
You can try and try and try, and eventually it'll work. And you'll achieve things that no one else has achieved before. Then they'll achieve it, and then everyone in the world will be known as doing great things.
Well, I'm not less than. I am well educated, strong, and independent.
But I'm not ignorant. I'm just stressed.
And it just shows how strong we are to be a part of this world. So
I am not a loud, angry black woman. I am a smart, sophisticated, educated, well-rounded, and respectful black woman. I also am not whitewashed or act white because you like to stereotype black people to act to be in a certain way. And just because I don't fit into that stereotype that you made up does not mean I am whitewashed or does not mean I act white.
Hello, I have the wonderful opportunity of introducing to you Justice Adrienne C. Nelson. Not only is she the first African American woman elected to the Supreme Court in Oregon, she is also the name of our new and upcoming school, Adrienne C. Nelson, in Happy Valley. Welcome, Miss Nelson.
Hello, my name is Yasmin Willigus, and it is my honor to have this opportunity to interview you.
Well, it's so nice to meet you, Yasmin, and I can't wait to have a conversation with you.
Yes, me too. I understand you have served as an Oregon Supreme Court Justice since 2018. How did you become interested in working in the legal profession?
So that's a really good question to ask. I became interested in becoming a lawyer because a lawyer represented me. When I was in high school, I was told that I was in the top of my class. I had been a very good student throughout school from first grade on, and I had done very well in high school as well, with an eye toward going to college. And I was thought to believe to be the first person of color. There were only two groups of people of color in my hometown, white people and black people. So I was going to be the first black person since integration to be the valedictorian. And my mother, who was a teacher in the district, sued my school district because they were not going to name me because they didn't think someone that looked like me could be the top of her class. And so that attorney allowed me to work for him in his firm for 3 of my 4 years of college, and also my first, between my but yeah, of college, because I had a program I was going on after high school. And that made me want to be a lawyer. And from being a lawyer and doing litigation and representing a wide variety of people, I decided that I would attempt to be a judge because I wanted our legal profession to be more representative of the people of the entire community that we serve. And so I put my name in and I got appointed as a trial judge. And after serving as a trial judge for almost 12 years, I was then appointed to the Supreme Court in 2018.
I have another question. Throughout your career, you have been a supporter of diversity, inclusion, equity, and leadership. As a woman of color, what obstacles have you faced in your professional career? And what did you do to overcome some of them?
Another great question. You know, I stand in my truth. That's how I address the challenges that face me in my life. So I deeply and truly believe that we have to see the humanity in each one of us. And I love being a Black woman because this is how I came into the universe. I don't want to be anything else. So I believe the way we show up is the way we're supposed to be, and that we all enhance each other. So I have always been a promoter of people being authentically who they are. And yes, I've had a number of challenges in my life. I just spoke about one, not being named valedictorian just based on the color of my skin, not because of my work, not because of the content of my character, as Martin Luther King has spoken about, just because of how people think that they can decide something for someone else because they think they can. So I've taken that, and instead of becoming bitter or negative, try to work hard to make this world better than where I was born into it, and to make everyone know that they are enough and they matter where they are. That is the way that I try to navigate all of that. Again, as I said, by being a truth teller, I speak out, and I don't speak out exactly the same way. Sometimes it's direct. Sometimes it's indirect by accessing a process, but it's always addressing it in a way that I feel I need to do. I'm not a person that goes with the flow, if you will, or goes with crowds. Sometimes I know I make decisions that I'm going to have to stand alone. I'm okay with that because I believe that authenticity is the part of us that keeps everything moving forward in this world. Sometimes I have people that stand up with me, and sometimes I stand up for other people. But I always believe that we have to have conversations, and we always have to work toward making sure that everybody's heard. It's always not instantaneous, so it's a lifelong, ongoing process, but I think that it's worth it. And sometimes that means that people are going to be uncomfortable and they may step away from you. So you have to deal with all of that and still feel if this is the time you want to do speaking up, if it's another time that you want to do it a different way, but always figure out a way to do it. That's how I've been able to navigate the obstacles in my life.
How does it feel to have a school named after you?
You know, it's pretty cool. At first, I didn't know how to feel about it because, quite frankly, I am an introvert. I've learned to be an extrovert, but the attention can be a bit overwhelming. Yeah. But as I have understood all of the community support for naming the school after me, understanding the need of you as students with the voices of we need a school like this name, I have come to understand that this is not about me. as I've talked about the line of the elders, I realize that this is part of my life journey, that I'm an ordinary person living an extraordinary journey, but this is also greater than me. So instead of feeling overwhelmed, I began to be excited about it. And now I'm like, this is really something that I never dreamt would happen, but I'm so glad it is happening. And I'm glad that it's happening when I am still very rooted in our community, but I can be even more rooted and I can come to the school and I can interact with you and get to know you and show the students that there are caring adults outside of their immediate family that love and support them and want the absolute best for them. So I am embracing this and am so excited because often when I have things like this happen to me, it gives me so much more to offer to other people than for me to receive. So I am extremely grateful and excited about this school being named after me.
I am looking forward to going there and seeing how it is and being the first, what is it? I think freshman class. You have been the first to do many things in your lifetime. You were the first Black valedictorian of Gordon High School, the first Black Supreme Court Justice of Oregon, and you now have a brand new high school named after you. I hope that I can do the same one day and be as successful with my own passions. What advice would you give to young women of color who want to rise and break through stereotypes?
What I want to say to you is, while you may understand that there are stereotypes, know that you're not. Know that you are from a long line of beautiful queens that love you, that hold you, that sacrifice for you, that cheer for you, that know that by shining your light, you're healing the world. By being true to yourself, you're making paths for others. By knowing that all movements foundationally begin with the support of women that look like you. And that whenever you feel alone, you are not alone, because there are people seen and unseen that are with you always, and that you get to do whatever you want to do on your own terms, not because you are trying to bring everyone along with you, but because you get to do what makes you happy. You get to do what makes your heart sing. So I want you to be fearless. I want you to feel love. I want you to shine your beautiful light in the world. That's what I want to say to you on behalf of all of us that are elders to you about how to be your best.
Thank you. That was very empowering and very informational, and I will carry that for a long time.
Please do. Whenever you feel that you're less than, remember that. You never are. You are wonderfully and beautifully made the way you are. You are not a mistake. Everything is done intentionally.
Thank you, Justice Nelson. I really appreciate you paving the way for young women like me. Thank you for your time, and I have had a really great time talking with you.
I've had a wonderful time talking with you too, Yasmin, and you know what? I want you to keep working hard, do your very best, and I want to say to you, be well. Be well.
Why am I proud to be Black? When I'm asked that question, there isn't one event or one
occasion that I can pinpoint and say, this is the reason why I'm proud to be Black, but it's because of everything that comes with being a Black person. I am proud to be Black because I come from kings and queens.
What makes me proud to be Black, African American / brown is just that everything in the world has history behind it, and I just feel great learning about the history behind my skin and behind the words that we use in general, learning how all these Black leaders stand up for our rights in general, for us to go to school, for us to stand in, just for us to be standing out in general and have a life.
I'm proud to be Black because regardless of what we go through, regardless of the odds, we still prevail. I'm proud to be Black because it has taught me to be resilient, empathetic, loving, colorful. I'm proud to be Black because blackness is beautiful. And I'm proud to be Black because it's so hard not to be proud.
And I'm very grateful to be born in that. And I am proud of that. I'm proud of being Black. I'm proud of being me. I'm not weak. And I'm so amazed that I have a wonderful history that reminds me of that every day.
What makes me proud to be African American is all my culture, my heritage. It's pretty much who I am, what I'm made of, how I live my life, how I move on with my life, and it's every aspect of me.
What it means to me to be Black, African American / brown is that it means to be yourself. It means that you get to stand out in a whole different way, and that you get to be who you want to be.
My favorite thing about being African American is the fact I have a culture that I've grown up with, and amazing food and decorations and pieces of clothing from ancient history that has a lot of meaning.
I'd say my favorite thing about being African American would probably be just the community, because I think it's a great community to be around.
And not only that, but have gone through struggles, trials, and error, but have managed to make it and still be here to the day and be one of the most amazing, impactful races in this life, just like any other race.
I have a purpose.
In order to make history, you have to do something historical.
We need you. We need your excellence. A better and stronger world depends on you.